Emmanuel, welcome to Crosscourt, the racket sports show. I think we've done well with our first guest here, Cam, the founder of Casa de Padel. Emmanuel, how are you, first of all?
I'm fine, not too bad. Coming off a high today, I've had a good day, so, good spirits. How are you guys?
Yeah, doing well, Cam.
No, I'm very well. Had a busy day, so but excited to get this one scheduled in. The first one, been looking forward to it for a while, and what a guest to have off on our first episode. So welcome, Emmanuel, to our first episode of the Crosscourt Racket Sports Show.
I'm glad you got the name right, Cam.
Yeah. Because we did actually record the recording the other day.
Yeah.
I was like, "This is the Crosscourt paddle show." It's just because
Guy's so obsessed with paddle.
Yeah,
I hear it.
live and breathe it. Live and breathe it. But yeah, I mean, let's kick it off with the first question, Emmanuel. I mean, tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you actually got into the sport of paddle.
How I got into the sport of paddle. So, okay, where am I gonna start? So, long story long. I was actually on holiday in Brazil. Been there a few times. This was like the back end of 24, and I was actually playing beach tennis. And one of the guys I was playing beach tennis with was like to me, "Have I played paddle before?" And I said, "I've heard of it. I've seen it a few times, but I hadn't actually played it." And funny enough, that same day, I was speaking to my friend Reese, who actually started Casa de Padel with. He was living in Dubai, and he was coming back to London the same week that I was coming back. So we was just speaking, and I was saying to him about paddle, and he was like, "Yeah, I play paddle. I've been playing for maybe like 6 months or something like that." So when I got back to London, I think he got back like the next day, we decided to go and play paddle. From the moment I got into that court, I said, "Yeah, this is my sport." So I probably played it a few times in London, and then I think that actually took me to go to Spain. Reese was kind of like saying to me, "Yeah, let's go to Spain." So I went to Spain for maybe like 4 or 5 days, played there, trained there, and that experience was amazing. And I think from then, that's kind of when it hit me as in, okay, like I may have found this sport late, but this was like the perfect timing. And then yeah, from then I just kind of started to play when I came back to London. At the time when I first started, especially back then, I didn't feel like there was a lot of like younger players. It was a lot of like the older guys that had been playing for a while, or people coming from a tennis background. I didn't come from a tennis background, so like the racket sport was kind of new to me. So I just felt like it didn't necessarily have like the football community where like you would see a lot of people that look like you, similar age group, kind of similar background. So a lot of the open games that we were playing was just with basically like older guys. So my idea was to kind of play with or have like a community where people like myself or the younger kind of generation, the younger crowd could play more consistent games. And I was going to different clubs at the time as well, so it wasn't like I was just going to one club, and I kind of noticed the same thing in most of these clubs. So then that kind of sparked the idea between me and Reese of saying, "Do you know what, let's kind of like do our own event, kind of build our own community and kind of see where it goes." And then, from a conversation, funny enough, we went to Paris to the Premier Paddle Major.
Straight into the deep end.
Yeah, so
straight into the
when we
majors.
went to that, I think it was kind of like, it got serious, and we kind of looked at each other. We enjoyed the experience, and we looked at each other and we said, "Yeah, like when we get back to London, like it's time to create something." And then that's kind of how it kind of started, really. Yeah.
That's interesting. That's, you got the. It seems like you got the bug fairly early on.
No, it was immediate. There was no.
Yeah. No, that's. But it's interesting. You talk about beach tennis because that's something. Obviously, in the UK, we don't really have the weather for, but it's obviously quite popular, especially in those hot countries. I think I actually played beach tennis once before in Cyprus. I actually found that quite fun. I think if there was more opportunity to play that, I think just generally in the UK, there is no real opportunity given our given where we live. But now it's interesting that you played that, and then you went to paddle, and then you caught that bug, and you didn't want to immerse yourself basically in that environment from then on.
If you had, like, what was it about paddle in contrast to like a tennis or like a beach tennis? I mean, beach tennis was the one that attracted you to paddle in the first place because you had that contact. But why hadn't you got into a racket sport before this point, do you think?
That's a good question. So I did play table tennis, but table tennis was more like a social thing. I wasn't going every week. I wasn't committed. So I dabbled in that, obviously badminton as well. From when I was in school days, I'd play it. But I think up until now, it was mostly just football. Once I stopped kind of playing football, then it was like I got into gym and fitness, and that kind of occupied my like fitness side of life. But I think really what it was at the time, I think I'd still enjoy gym, but I kind of fell out of love, and I think there was a void. And I think just outside of sport as well, with the process of traveling, getting out of my comfort zone, I think the time that I met paddle, it ticked a lot of boxes. So for example, it's a sport for 4 people predominantly. So it's a social sport. You're playing with different people that you've never met before, different backgrounds, different upbringings. And I think it allowed me to express passion, my competitive nature, and also I'm learning something new and it's outside of the box. So I think with all of those things together, I think it just clicked. And again, because it's quite an easy sport to get into, I said easy sport to start with, I think the barrier of entry is so simple that you get to have a lot of wins and a lot of enjoyable moments initially before you hit to that stage where it's like, okay, I need to get lessons, I need to grow, I need to get better. So I think that initial period is what grabs people. It's definitely what grabbed me. And I think it hit a lot of boxes of just being a social sport, being around other people, personal development, learning something new, expressing my passion and feeling comfortable because everyone else is passionate about it as well. Then there's the competitive side. You get to release some of that in a safe environment. I don't know, it's weird. I feel like it's a game that demands a lot of you mentally as well, which is something I really enjoy. And I think it's just the element of being something new in my life. Whereas obviously I've played other sports, but being something completely new and understanding what I enjoy the most now, my needs and wants, I think that combination and the timing is kind of why it just made sense for me.
I think that's a good point you touched on there in terms of, you know, you haven't experienced that sport before, it's a new sport. I think a part of this is actually, the exciting part is you're part of the journey from the beginning, especially in this country. You know, it's a new sport more or less. Same with pickleball. These 2 sports are new in the UK, so it's exciting to develop that. You know, everyone who you play with to start off with is more or less similar ability. So again, when you talk about that you know, that entry point, you know, you come in at the same level more or less. So yeah, for me, I think that's a really good point. Moving on from that, I mean, I want to ask you about why the name Casa de Padel. I mean, I think it's a great name, for sure, but you know, obviously the Spanish translation for that, you know, is home of paddle, which is you can't get a better name for that really than what it is. So how did you come to that?
Boy. So when we decided that we wanted to do our first event, initially we just thought, you know, we'll just put the event together, not necessarily think about the name. But just the type of person I am, I'm like, I need to have everything in order before I even step out the house. So we was going back and forth with names, and we said, after doing a bit of research, at this point I'd done a bit of research of how paddle started, where it comes from, predominantly who loves it, who plays it. And obviously the common theme was like Spanish and Argentinian were the 2 countries even though it started in Mexico, but Spanish and Argentinian were the two countries that have embraced the sport and kind of pushing the sport the most. And I remember we had a conversation where it was like, we want to start this, we want to create a name, but the people that play it the most, we want it to be easy for them to gravitate towards us. So we thought if we kind of think of like a Spanish name, then predominantly the Spanish players who we had met at the time, it would be something that they could relate to. So it was kind of like trying to like decrease the barriers of entry kind of thing. So we went through a few names, and then I remember seeing it visually. Like I was on Google Translate, and I was doing like different words, different sayings, and trying to see like what looks good, what sounds good. And then, I ended up doing that. And then I saw it visually and I thought, I like how this looks. Even though in the beginning I was like, in certain times, I still have it now where pronouncing it can be a bit shaky. But I liked how it looked visually. And then I sat with it for a little bit. And it's funny because I remember I sent Reese like so many different names. And it's kind of like, it was like sitting in there and it's like, yeah, we like it, we're not sure. Then we sent it to a few different people. And then I think after a few days, I'm like, no, this is definitely the one that I want. And then, we both agreed upon it. And then, that was it really. So it was more so just like kind of paying homage to where the sport is most prominent now, or has been for how many years. So that's kind of the idea behind it.
All right. And then still on the topic, like tell us a bit more in depth about Casa de Padel. I feel like we haven't heard enough from the ins and outs of what exactly it is, who you're there to service, and what you're looking to do with it.
So it's been an interesting journey. So initially, the idea was just very simple. We wanted to basically build a community similar to kind of like the football community, where basically young guys like us, kind of similar age group, same competitive nature, same kind of similar type of banter. We wanted to just create a space where we could just come play regular paddle together, have fun, and then kind of see it go from there. So we kind of started amongst our friends, people that we knew, even though we didn't actually have a lot of friends that had played paddle at the time. But because we was doing like a national tour of every paddle club, we started building friends, started building relationships, started speaking to people, and we found that the common theme was, I love the sport, I've just got into it, but I don't have a lot of friends that are currently in it. And even though I am meeting new people, it's not the same, because it's like outside of paddle, then we don't necessarily speak. But you also want that element of, during the week when we're not playing paddle, we're still having banter on the WhatsApp group chat or whatever it may be. So we said, okay, we're going to put a tournament together. And we kind of just had it like internal to people that we knew. We said to people that, if you know anyone that's playing paddle, like send it to them. And then we did our first tournament, which we it was quite strange actually, because we didn't actually, how do I put this? So we didn't have any control of who actually was going to come, because again, it was
open invite basically.
Yeah, so it was like an open invite. So even though we may have had the idea to like have everyone kind of like our age group, it didn't turn out like that. It was kind of just like everyone just kind of turned out. But it was good, because obviously it was nice to, you can have an idea, but then when you execute something, you'll be surprised that it might not have necessarily gone how you wanted it to go, but then you will appreciate how it did go. And that was kind of like our experience with the first tournament. But speaking to people at that tournament, we obviously said why we're doing this and what we wanted to do. And we got the feedback, and it's funny because even like the older generation, they were saying, look, we want to play with the younger guys as well. We want to be a part of the community. We want to be able to have that banter, because we do on a football. Like you go to a football stadium, you could be sitting next to someone of any age, it doesn't matter. But you will have something common in goal. So, a common goal. So it's like that idea then sparked. So we said, okay, we're still trying to build a community for like the younger people or people that look like us. For example, when I played paddle, even till now actually, I'm sure I'll get onto later, but there's not a lot of ethnic or diverse people in paddle at all. So I remember there was like a few weeks where we was playing open games, and like there was literally like no black people, there was not many Asian. So we thought, okay, cool, we'll make a tournament not just for younger, but also like diverse communities as well. As we've done more research and realised there wasn't a lot of us in the sport. So that was kind of the idea, but it did kind of take its own path where we ended up appealing to people that were just looking for a community, regardless of the background. It was like people, for example, there was an older guy that played in a few of our tournaments, and he was just looking for a community to play with, people that he could have that banter and that understanding with. And he just felt like even with his generation, sometimes things are a little bit too serious, especially for coming from a tennis background, because a lot of tennis players have serious competitive nature. So I think as we were learning that maybe we're going to appeal to more people than we anticipated, we continued the path of just having it open to everyone. And then it just kind of grew, and then we started doing tournaments more often. Again, different people started coming, different types of backgrounds. It was becoming more diverse. It was like more people from like ethnic backgrounds were coming to our tournaments or messaging us saying, look, I want to get into paddle, but we don't know how to get into paddle, or we don't know where we can go. So we was kind of like helping people even outside of the tournaments. We'll play games with people. We'll say, okay, if you want to play a game, you don't have anyone to play with, like we'll set up a game. We've got a few of our friends. They're all beginners as well, so we'll all feel comfortable. So we went through that process, and just kind of like grew, kept on doing tournaments, and then I think maybe around the 5th or 6th tournament, that's when we said, okay, we realised as well women were struggling to find a community where they could play with other women, because at the time, a lot of the times you're playing like mixed games, or like there's not 4 women to play with, so it might be 1 girl and 3 guys playing. And as much as they enjoy it, sometimes if you're doing that quite a lot, sometimes you will feel like the odd one out. So then we said, okay, we're going to start doing like female only tournaments, build a female community where they can kind of have, because they don't have to have it exactly how we've been doing it. So we had an open WhatsApp group where it's like, how do you guys want your events? Like, what do you want? Do you want it the same as how it's formatted already? Do you want to try something different? So we just kept that open space, and so we did our first females tournament. And speaking to the females, it's funny enough, they said, oh, we want to do a mixed tournament. So it's like every time we set up something with an idea, we realised that though the idea was correct and we'd still do it, people also wanted something different, and there's something we could accommodate.
That's really interesting.
It's quite surprising.
Just earlier today, I was listening to the Diary of a CEO podcast, and he had someone on. And I think it's really interesting as well, because we're going to hopefully speak to a lot of people that are starting businesses or have started businesses already in this space, like yourself. And one of the main messages that came out of that was, entrepreneurs might have great ideas, but that it will almost certainly change once you take that to market, and you'll get the feedback from what actually people want. And it won't be far off, but you'll need to adjust it. And that's exactly what you're saying, is that you had the right idea. It's then just adapting it to what the customer wants and what the community is needing. And they'll tell you, like they'll offer that to you. So it sounds like you adapted to it pretty easily as well.
Like, that's the good thing, because it's so hands-on. You get that instant feedback, and the environment is comfortable enough where people, because obviously I tell them this, I'm new to this, I'm learning. So I'm new to the community, I'm new to the sport. So I'm also in the process of learning. Just because I'm putting on the events, it doesn't mean that I'm not also a player myself, and I'm also on this side. So I think it was like a natural progression where they understood where I was coming from. They was comfortable enough to say, oh, maybe you should try this, or we like this. And like you said, it's like you can have an idea of what you think is going to happen or what people want, but then when you actually bring it to market, they say, oh no, we did want this, however we also want this as well. Which was good, because like It just goes to show that sometimes your ideas have more legs than you think. So that was kind of like how that journey was in terms of like the tournaments. But of course, we always had ideas of doing other things, which I'm currently doing now. It's like I'm in like the corporate event space as well. But yeah, there's a few things that we've been working on behind the scenes. But it was just a growth of like one tournament after another, trying to build a community where people were comfortable, were not scared to say, well, I'm new to this sport, I don't know how this works, I don't even know the history of it, but I just want to play it. Some people want to compete, some people want to have fun. So we just wanted to create a community where all of those things would be okay, because people have different reasons for playing the sport, but ultimately we're all there to have fun and have a great experience. So it was having a community where you're not judged by being new, you're not judged by not understanding or not knowing, but you're encouraged to kind of come on the journey with us. And being so fresh into the sport, I might be running tournaments and running events, but I'm also a player myself. I'm also a fan. So when we stand next to each other on the court, it doesn't feel like there's any hierarchy. It feels all in one. And that's something that I've really enjoyed.
Sorry, how nervous or how much did the nerves play an impact, when you first set this up, because it's not for everyone running, an organisation, running a community where, you have to talk in front of, say, public speaking, in front of people. I mean, you mentioned diving into the corporate world a little bit. It's sometimes not for everyone. Some people like to be the brains behind the project, but then someone has to deliver that, for that event, like you talk about, for that tournament, for that community. How much did that play an impact for you at the start, and how much do you think your confidence has grown since starting the community to 3-4 events in? And how does like the post event, what are your like post event feels? Are you on a high, are you on a low? Explain to us a little bit more about that in terms of nerves and how you feel.
So doing an event, any kind of event, is completely opposite to my personality. I'm a very introverted, to myself, kind of reclusive, like only really spend time with people I know, kind of person on a personal level. So the nerves in the beginning were a lot, because it wasn't just, it was like double-sided. It was like, it's my first event, full stop, like I'm putting together, and I'm in a new sport. So it's like I have the nerves of, okay, this is the first time me creating something in a new sport, but I also have the element of now I also have to present it. In all honesty, if there was a way at the time where I could have done it and been behind the scenes, I would have did that. It was just a case of, because it was so new, and not a lot of people around me were into the sport, it was something that I had to trial and error first. So when me and Reese both spoke about it, it was like, and we're both very similar, so it was kind of like, oh, you do it, like it's kind of like a back and forth. But I think the good thing about the first event was we had a few people that we knew, so it was a lot easier, because you have that comfort, it's like there's not really many awkward conversations. It's like it's more like you're bringing other people into your world because you already had a few people that you know. So I think the first event, there was nerves, but I'll be honest with you, I think it might have been, there was one event in particular that I think I felt the nerves the most, and it wasn't the first one. I think the first one, there was so much adrenaline, and because again it was something new that we'd done, I think we were so focused on basically making sure it goes well that I didn't really have any time to think about any external feelings or anything else. So I'd say like post feeling of the first event, it was just an amazing feeling, because it was an idea that we didn't sit on this idea for long. Like, I need to put into perspective. Like, I think the first time I touched a paddle racket might have been like September.
And 4 weeks later, you had an event go.
Yeah, like it was like a month and a half later or something. We had the tournament. So everything was just adrenaline. So, but after that first event, it was like, wow, we actually said we're going to do something. Had absolutely no one to speak to, zero help, no reference point. Like, we didn't even know how we was going to do it. We just hoped that people would, understand our intentions. So it was kind of like a wow moment. Like, it went well, it went smooth, which we're very thankful for. But that was kind of the moment. Was like, imagine with experience and knowledge what we actually can do with this if we've been able to do this. Obviously, granted, both of our personalities and how we are, we're very particular, we're very attentive, so we did put a lot of work into it. We did kind of stress test it as well before we done our first one, but having said that, we still hadn't done it, so to execute it and for it to have gone as well as it did was like a real blessing, and it was a real like a motivator as well. But I would definitely say the nerves was more so just for me personally, being, especially at that time, I wasn't really in a lot of social settings. So I think my biggest fear at the time, I wouldn't really say it was a fear, but I think my biggest concern was more so just, I'm not usually around so many people that I don't know. So a thought was kind of like, how will they gravitate towards me? And also, how will I gravitate towards them? And this is a situation and a scenario where the spotlight is always on me, even when I don't want it. And again, I'm not used to having the spotlight on me. So it was, those kind of thoughts would creep in now and then. But ultimately, and this is what I would tell anyone that's starting something like this, is when you're starting something or a business, especially in sports, and people are coming to play a sport that they love, that the reality is no one is thinking about you. Like, they're here to play the sport and have that fun. Like, everyone they're there for their own purpose, and you just need to provide a safe and enjoyable environment for them to thrive. And I think once we had realised that, things became easier. We didn't worry about things as much. But yeah, there was one tournament, and I think it was, and I'll be honest with you, it was the females tournament. That tournament, I was losing sleep because I don't know, it was just like, it was difficult because it was difficult because, do you know what it is? It's like with the guys, I think you almost, especially I think if you come from like the football background, you're so used to the type of banter on any level. You're so used to the competitive nature, you're so used to the aggression, you're so used to having arguments and finding out ways to deal with these type of discrepancies and things of that nature. So it's like, you're used to it. So when we wanted to do the first females one, we didn't know exactly how it was going to be in terms of how intense should we have it. Do we want it to be, do we want to focus more on the social side? Do we want to focus more on like the competitive side? Like, we didn't know how competitive it was going to be, and I think that was like what was kind of making us nervous, because we didn't want it to be like, they've come and you've not done enough, or it's not been competitive enough. It's kind of like, or we didn't want it to be like, okay, well, we've come to enjoy it, but it's not enjoyable because it's too competitive.
I guess you didn't really know the what the sweet spot was.
Yeah,
beforehand,
we didn't know
because I guess in your previous, in all your, growing up, sports you played, you've been playing with the same gender, like men, like, what would be a good sweet spot, what works well. But I guess, when dealing, when then going into, women's sport, you don't necessarily know, and especially it's new customers for you, don't particularly know whether, this more of a social element for them, or like you talk about the intentions, it's hard to gauge, especially for the first one, for the first thing for any event is very hard to gauge anyone's intentions when it comes to playing tournaments. Some people like to play tournaments because it's just another time to play the sport. Some people play tournaments for the competitive side. Some people play for various reasons, a training side of thing, under pressure. So it's really hard to gauge that intention, especially to start off with if you don't know them. Plus, like you said, like you don't know their intentions. But yeah, I definitely get where you're coming from on that one.
Yeah, so that was kind of like the one that had me stressed, but in all honesty, it was one of the most enjoyable because like I know how women can get so competitive. Sometimes they try to hide it, but they are competitive. And that first tournament, granted, with some of the guys as well, I'd played with some of them before, so I kind of knew how they play or what the sport means to them and why they're there, kind of thing. But with the females, I think there was only one female that I played with before. And yeah, that first tournament, like the energy was just amazing. Some of the concerns I had in terms of like, because I remember, I think the first one, I don't think Reese was actually with me. So a lot of my nerves was like, oh, how am I going to manage this kind of by myself? And they made it so easy for me. Like when I got there, I said to them, look, this is the first time, obviously they knew already, I was like, this is the first time I'm doing like a females only tournament. Obviously
how many did you have?
How many females?
Yeah.
So there was 12, so it was meant to be 16, I think it was 12 females.
Okay.
So it wasn't too bad number-wise. So management was okay, but it was just still like the nerves of, okay, this is the first time. Do I have everything? Have I considered everything? And yeah, so when I kind of done the introductory of, this is the first one. Thank you guys for coming. Obviously, the intention is to do like women-only events, but ultimately, I'm going to do like mixed tournaments as well. So the community can grow together. I don't want to just have it isolated, but it's nice to have, okay, maybe one a month where it's females only, then you have a mix. So I kind of told them the intention behind it, and obviously said that this is a space for you to kind of express how you want to play, how you see paddle. If you want to try something new or something you've seen different, like we can accommodate that, because ultimately we're not governed by anyone, so we can try and we can have fun in different ways.
Yeah.
And yeah, they were just so supportive, they were so appreciative, and they enjoyed it so much, and they made it very clear to me that they are also competitive and they also enjoy that competitive nature. So it's not something for me to worry about, or it's not something that I should be concerned of, because ultimately, as long as you provide an enjoyable and a safe space, people are going to express themselves. They're going to show you what they want. Sometimes you don't even have to ask questions. You can just listen. You can hear it. You can visualize it. You can see what they enjoy, what they don't like. So I think that was the event that had me nervous the most. But obviously, after I'd done the first one, I was like, yeah, this I'm meant to be here. This makes sense. And then my confidence grew as each tournament went on, just because I felt more involved in the industry. And in the background, I'm playing, I'm speaking to people, I'm educating myself in the sport, I'm watching the sport. By that time, I think I'd only been to one professional tournament, but I'd been to local tournaments, so like the LTA tournaments in the UK. So I'd been a bit around the scene. I'd met a few people as well that had been in the industry for a while. So having those conversations and, understanding their journey and where they think it's going to go, and seeing the alignment that we had, especially I'm new and they've been in it for a while and we still aligned on many points, that kind of allowed me to be more confident, because it just felt like, okay, I'm going in the right direction. But yeah, it was definitely hard in the beginning, just because it was like, I'm entering something that I want to do and I'm passionate about, even though it's only been like a short period of time, but it also doesn't necessarily fit how my personal life is. So it's trying to find the balance of, I don't want to use the word sacrifice, but at the beginning it definitely felt like, am I sacrificing my comfort of kind of being in a controlled environment where now I'm in an environment where I don't have any control over, and also finding my place, like where do I fit in this, how confident am I to have conversations with people when I've just entered into this industry and they've been in it for a while. So those are the kind of thoughts, like on like a surface level, that I would have. But again, each tournament that went by, confidence grew. The more people I met, the more I realised that, oh, this is actually something that I want to do and I'm comfortable with, or I'll get more comfortable with. So,
and then
that kind of answers that.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I guess before I think we move on to more general stuff aside from Casa de Padel or Casa de Padel, which if you had one piece of advice to give for someone running events in paddle, what would that be? If it was like, I don't know, 2 sentences, what would you say to them?
One advice.
Because so many people want to do it, and I think it's interesting to hear from people that have actually been there and done it. And then we can clip it up for social and make it go viral.
I think, personally, I would ask, if anyone wants to do an event, I think the most important thing they need to ask themselves is, what is their purpose? Mm-hmm. And the reason I say that, because your purpose will let you know in what direction you need to go to, because there's so many different ways to do events. There's not just one type of event, there's multiple different types of events you can do. And because there's so many different variations, there's so many different ways of doing it, it's very easy to get confused. It's very easy to be easily influenced or go in a direction, and then you hear someone say this, you want to go into another direction, you want to go into another direction. So I think the most important thing is to establish what your purpose is. And once you've established, okay, the reason I want to do events, whether it's for yourself or whether it's for other people or whether it's to achieve something, whatever it may be, find your purpose, or at least have an idea. And then I think that will make your journey in the beginning a lot easier, because you will focus on the things that you're meant to focus on, or you need to focus on to get to that goal. So yeah, I'd say just the most important thing is try to figure out your purpose for doing it.
Perfect. Good stuff.
Nice one. All right, I just want to touch a little bit on price. I know price in paddle is there's a few books that could be written about pricing and paddle in the UK and its comparison, so across the world. But ultimately, let's talk a little bit about price, the pricing point in paddle in the UK, and also more, in particular. Obviously, do you think that this is the main barrier in the sport right now? And when do you think that prices may plateau or even, start to come down? Do you think we're far off like a pricing war to come down? Are we far off that, or do you think we're set to see the price, keep rising for years to come? You have the likes of Palladium in Canary Wharf, charging premium price, but given their location, they can do that. But it means that some regular people or normal people or with a lower income can't play there. Then you've got certain places in London. You've got North London. You've got the Paddle Hub, obviously a premium indoor club. You've got Rocket Paddle, an indoor club in London. You got also the newest one. You've got Racketeer, again another indoor premium club with premium prices, and another one in the Hertfordshire area, on court, sort of in and around our areas here. I'm talking about.
When you say premium, Cam, can you give us an idea of what that actually is?
Okay, so premium, we have a top spec court in comparison to some of the outdoor courts you see, like a fully panoramic, as near as you can get to the professional tour. We have, indoor facilities. Indoor facilities. Right, that one can be edited out. Emmanuel was hungry. He didn't eat after his day. He's doing what he can for the pod.
It's grinding.
No, but I mean for indoor for premium stuff is we're seeing.
And how much would that be?
We're talking minimum £80 to £100 an hour. We're looking at facilities, memberships from more than David Lloyd's, about £180 per month, £200 per month. Hybrid model where you're paying a fixed amount per month and then you get a discount court.
Membership doesn't get you,
it doesn't
cheap,
get you.
Or it doesn't get you. Yeah, you still have to pay on top of that.
Yes, I think but they are the clubs are upping their game. They're adding more facilities. There's spa elements now. You have showers, changing rooms. You have food and beverages. You have a restaurant. You have a gym. You have a viewing balcony. So don't get me wrong. There's a lot to offer, but obviously that comes with a very steep, price tag, and which a lot of people can't afford that to play that. So and when you compare it to Europe, I know it's hard. We shouldn't really, but. We will for this comparison because it's the courts can start at €4 for the whole entire court, €6 for the whole entire court, and have a similar amenities with that. So that's sort of why I wanted to ask you: can you see how long can you see the prices rise for, and when do you think they will come down from your experience of being in paddle this far and the people you sort of speak to?
So this is probably the topic that I think is discussed the most right now in paddle, especially in the UK. So I don't know. Sometimes
for example, you just came from a paddle game just now, and how much did you pay for that?
£30.
And how long was that for?
That was at Paddle Hub, North London.
Okay, so that's £30 for how long was that? 90 minutes?
I think it's 90 minutes. Yeah, 90 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, so that's just
£30 each.
Yeah, £30 each. Yeah.
Okay, so it's quite. I mean, that is a premium price tag, right? I mean, for paddle right now. But sorry to butt in, but I think it's probably become the norm nowadays. That pricing point for paddle indoors, like a permanent indoor structure. I think it's become the norm to accept that price. But sorry, I'll let you carry on.
Yeah, so I feel like when I first came into paddle, it was during like the end of summer. So I actually started playing in outdoor courts in the beginning, which were a lot cheaper.
How much?
You might be paying like £10 per person, £15 per person. So my entry was kind of outdoor courts, a lot cheaper. It was only maybe about a month and a half, 2 months in that I started to explore the indoor courts. And funny enough, because there wasn't a lot of indoor courts, it wasn't really like, oh, we're going to a premium court. It was just like, this is an indoor court. This is kind of the only option you've got. And yeah, the prices were a lot steeper. But at that stage, because I knew paddle was kind of like a growing sport, which it still is now, I always had the idea that, at that time anyway, that the more courts that will be built, obviously the prices will come down because there's more competition. Because if you've got one paddle court in an area where the next paddle court is like an hour away, they can pretty much charge what they want, because most people, they don't have time to travel an hour here and an hour there. They've got.
But we're not seeing that at the moment, though, are we?
No, we're not. But it's because people are traveling. But at that time, that was kind of my idea of like, okay, well, the more courts that will be built, the prices will come down because there's more competition, so it can be more competitive. But what I've actually started to see is the new courts that are being built are all premium courts, like you said earlier, in terms of facilities. So you're going to have a paddle court that's going to have a steam room in there, they're going to have sauna in there, they're going to have more fully equipped gyms, they're going to have office space, they're going to have restaurants in there, premium showers.
I'm hearing sort of the court like a table service. Some of these clubs having table service. It's like like it's
Yeah.
a restaurant, but like there's a button or QR code that you scan by the court, and you can, you have a bucket of ice and water, a towel can come straight to your thing. You can order for it now and then pay the tab at the end when you leave. So these are sort of things that I'm hearing in the background.
End up having 3-hour court bookings, not an hour and a half. If you're getting the champagne ordered to court, they're going to be on there for all afternoon.
I know, it really is.
Yeah. So I feel like I want to believe that, well, there will obviously be other courts that will be built that probably be less premium and just want to appeal to players to just play, because there are a few coming in the area that are like outdoor covered courts that will predominantly be cheaper. But I think in the last 6 months, I've definitely seen the price of paddle continue to rise. Of course, it's going to hit its top and it's going to either stay the same or it's going to reduce. But I do think it will go down. But I think in the near future, we just have to prepare for a continuing rise in prices, because the facilities, for example, someone that starts a business to go and make a paddle court, they want to recoup their money as quick as possible. So they want to have the best court to have all of the players there. Now, if you've got about 3 or 4 courts around you and they've all got premium facilities, you don't want to be the person that's created a court, and people love paddle, people are passionate about it. So it's not a case of do they want to play it. It's a case of, well, they're going to go to a venue where they can shower, they can do workout, they can have dinner, they can have a drink after they play. They've got enough space to have their friends. They can do a quick gym session if they want to do a gym session. So it's like you said earlier about the David Lloyds, it's like all-purpose facilities, and that's obviously going to come at a price.
But do you think on the price point, do you think maybe, that opens a door for a sport like pickleball where, the price, the entry price for pickleball is significantly lower,
cheaper,
and you might come a point where actually I might consider playing that sport for the first time, still get the same social element, endorphins, the buzz out of playing the sport, just for a way cheaper price tag. Do you think that's potentially a consideration for some people, or do you think people
100%.
are stuck on this?
100%. I definitely think it's because the reality is a lot of people are beginners and a lot of people are just starting to get into paddle. So they're not at a stage where they're fully committed yet. So if the numbers don't make sense and the price is too high, they're going to find an alternative. And it might not necessarily be them, it might be a friend. Because let's say, for example, and I think this is one of the conversations I was having with someone not too long ago, the concern I have with these prices is, how do 16 plus play paddle consistently when the prices are not really sustainable for someone that young? We want obviously the younger generation to be into paddle more. We want the barrier of entry to be lower, but currently the way things are set up, it's hard for the younger generation to get into paddle, hence why you see a lot of older people in it. A lot of people that are in a financially better place, more well established. And I think if there's not a medium where people can play the sport consistently, because at the end of the day, no one wants to play.
It's giving me young people trying to get on the property ladder.
yeah,
Possible.
It's kind of the same thing. It's like no one wants to play something that they know they can't commit to financially. It's like, I love it and I enjoy it, but the reality is I can't commit to this consistently, and that's a big problem. So if someone comes and says, well, listen, we can play pickleball, it's similar in terms of how we play it, in terms of enjoyment and the social aspect, then you're going to go and take the cheaper option. You might still, of course, you'll still play paddle, but you might not play paddle 3-4 times a week. You might play it twice a month, whereas pickleball is something you can play 2-3 times a week. I hope it doesn't be like that, because obviously I'm a paddle advocate, but that's just the reality. If that, at the end of the day, people can only do what they can, and if they can't continuously pay for a sport that is just too expensive for them, they're going to find an alternative. And there's obviously a market for that as well. There's more than enough people that could enter pickleball right now and say, okay, financially this makes sense. I can commit to this. I know I can play this consistently. I can play this with my friends. It's just that we don't have the facilities here, so it's not really on anyone's mind. But I think if the facilities were here and there was more pickleball courts, I believe that more people would be playing it. Even if it's just for the first time, it's not something that, okay, I play pickleball, that means I can't play paddle. People will still play both. Like, people still play tennis and paddle. People still play paddle and football. But I do think the pricing is a big issue from not only people wanting to play as a beginner, people who want to play consistently, people who run events. I think from all aspects it's difficult at the moment because the passion is there, the growth is there, these things are all good, but the pricing is making it difficult for the person who's in between. The person who wants to be a part of it, wants to play, but hasn't caught the bug yet, or hasn't got the passion, hasn't had the opportunity yet. They're in a place where, do I really want to spend this money on this? Even though I see everyone else playing it, people are saying they're enjoying it. Is this something I really want to commit to? And then this is just pay to play, like one-offs. If you start getting into the membership, you're now asking someone to choose, do I want to have a paddle membership and do I want to have a gym membership? Because if my paddle membership is £250 a month, and let's say for my gym is like £150 a month, a lot of people are in those decisions where it's like one or the other.
And that's a big decision as well. Like, you've got rent for your house, and then you've got paddle membership. Like, there's nothing that's going to be the second thing. Like, it's crazy. It's a big commitment.
It's a very, very big commitment. And, I think obviously as summer comes around, then obviously you have the outdoor court. So there is the cheaper option. It's not like it's not available. It's just through the winter months, it's not a sport that you can play outside during the winter. Well, you can, but it's not ideal. It's not as fun. It's not as social. So obviously this is where the indoor courts thrive. But I do believe the more courts that built, there will be a more competitive pricing and it will come down. But at the moment, a lot of these venues are taking advantage of the fact that it's almost, if you don't come to us, where are you going to go? There's not much option. So it's a bit frustrating because there's many people that I want to get into the sport. And then when I tell them about the pricing, it's like, oh, do you know what it is? Like, it's almost like they have to be invited where it's a little bit cheaper. Then they find the bug and then they're a bit more willing to pay it. But that initial, it's £80 for the court between four of us, it's like, what? Like, this is just a bit much. So, but it is frustrating. But again, I think over time, it is fairly new. I think a lot more people in the community, people like myself, that are building events and building communities, I think the more we progress and the more we build, we will create a platform where even if the prices are expensive, people are more willing to take the risk to try it. And I think through most of us that know, or anyone that we've spoken to, once you try the sport, you will be addicted to it. It's just finding a place or finding a balance of how do I play this sport, or what venues do I have local to me where I can play and it's financially affordable, because no one wants to find a passion or find something they love and have to choose whether I can do this versus having a gym membership, or this paddle membership is more than I'm paying for my car or things of that nature. So
it's like the couple of things. It's like we're waiting for the petrol prices to go down. How do we get on the property ladder?
So expensive.
Oh man!
And how can we play paddle? These are the things that I ask myself every day.
Yeah, it's not easy.
But go on. If there's anything that that's happened in your sort of paddle journey right now, is there anyone that you want to sort of mention, shout out, or sort of that's helped you along the way, giving you good advice, and just sort of being there, from start to finish, where you are now, maybe still guiding you through there. We'll be intrigued to hear, who that is and, maybe what they've done.
Man, there's a few people. this is one of those questions where if the names don't come out of your head, then you're screwed. There's a few people. So obviously Reese, who I started Casa de Padel with. Obviously he's been with me for the whole journey.
Reese, what's his last name?
Reese Marksman.
Reese Marksman. Glad. Good to know you know that.
yeah. Oh, you're testing me. Yeah.
In the chiz.
Yeah. So obviously, our shouts out to him because obviously he's been there from the beginning, and we continuously have conversations of like how this all started and kind of like the funny moments we've had along the way, the difficult moments we've had along the way. And kind of outside of that, the other people I've kind of met in paddle, and I didn't really know them previously. So I want to give a shout out to Alvaro. He runs the paddle place in Waltham Abbey. I think it's called Paddle District. Sorry, I've even forgot the name now.
Waltham Abbey.
Yeah, Waltham Abbey Paddle.
Yeah.
So he runs it down there. He's been absolutely amazing. Just a great person, positive person. He's been so welcoming. He's helped me with lessons. He's helped me a lot with just event experience, telling me and guiding me where to find information. Like any question I have, he's so willing to help. He's very encouraging as well, very reassuring. I just see how the way he interacts with people in general, not even just myself. So yeah, he's been really good, really been helpful to me. Dan Troy is another person, so he's a paddle coach. He runs the British Paddle Academy. He's been really important as well because he's been the type of person to, any question I have, he comes with a solution. This is the person to speak to. I'll set up an introductory and then like kind of go from there. He's also helped me understand like just where the sport has come from in his journey, because he's been in it for more than 10 years. So he's also helped me in terms of like allowing me to understand where the sport's come from, so I kind of have an idea of where I want to take it or some of the things that I should consider because of what's happened previously. So yeah, he's been really important. Another person is on the other side, which is Cam Waller.
Give a little shout out.
Yeah, shout out to him because I actually met him at the Paddle
How did
Hub.
you meet? Okay.
Cam, how did we meet?
How did we meet?
What's the love story?
It was a long time ago. It was you and Reese came into the club. We opened up in summer. Just two keen lads, playing paddle.
And this was when you were club manager of Paddle Hub, yeah?
Yeah, that was right. Yeah. So when we first opened, there was just two keen lads wanting to play paddle. I just seen them playing around, had a good vibe, good energy about them, became friends with them, put them into a good game. At the time there was a guy called Carlos Cuesta who was playing at the paddle club, who was in the Arsenal, so he was like the junior assistant manager sort of in the team, and Emmanuel was an Arsenal fan, and I put sort of Carlos basically messaged me saying, do you have a spare game for me today? And I thought, Emmanuel was local-ish to the club, and on that day, and I was like, cool, let me just link them up together. And then from then on, we just sort of became friends through the paddle, sort of connected us. I sort of took an interest in sort of what they were doing with Casa, helping them out with running the events. So yeah, that was basically sort of how we sort of met, became friends. But yeah,
so he kind of was he helped me. So because I first started my events at Rocket Paddle Ilford, and then I wanted to do my first event at North London Paddle Hub, and obviously Cam was manager, and so he
had to make friends with the manager somehow. That's the only reason.
it was a non-negotiable. It was the only thing that made sense. But yeah, so like we stayed in contact, and then yeah, he was just like very supportive, helping me introduce people to the club as well. Before I came a member myself, he was saying to me like, okay, this is someone that plays around about these times. This is like some of the players that are kind of like similar level to you. So he was just kind of like guiding me in terms of, being able to connect with people at the club.
All right, we might have to have our last two questions because I think my Riverside recording is going to run out.
Oh, okay. Let's go for it.
But one of my last questions is what do you think? What's the one thing that is sort of most important for the growth of paddle in the next 5-10 years in this country, in the UK? What if you had to put your finger on one thing that is really important for it and its growth? What would it be?
Accessibility.
Nice.
I think paddle is proven. It's a proven sport where when people get in touch with it and people connect with it, everything else follows. So I think the challenge is just the accessibility is, providing courts or, financially feasible places for people to play. And I think after that, the rest is history. I think it will naturally grow. It's naturally growing right now, but I would definitely say it's accessibility. I think as long as we can connect the dots where people can actually get on the court and play the sport, I think the sport will be fine.
Do you see paddle overtaking tennis?
Yes.
In the next. So, do you see paddle overtaking paddle? Do you see paddle overtaking?
Yeah,
tennis?
that yes threw you off, didn't it? Yeah? Didn't have to think about that one.
Do you see paddle overtaking tennis in the next 5-10 years? In regards to sort of a spectator from a viewing point of view?
I do believe. I don't necessarily know if it will overtake.
I know Alex is. He wants to hear.
Yeah, he's a tennis man. Look, he's like this. He's like, go on. I dare you to say it. I'm gonna
yes or no?
this.
In the next 5-10 years, do you think paddle will overtake tennis in regards to being a viewing sport, a spectatorship? Yes or no?
Just look at that.
No.
So
not in the next 5 to 10 years. Do I want it to? Yes, but I don't think. I think it needs more than 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
I'd agree with that.
That hurt me to say that, but
I think not in the 5, but I think definitely within the 5 to 10. But I also think that tennis is not in danger right now. I do think that they need to do something else with the game to make it more interesting. I think it's a bit same old, and I think paddle also has that danger as well, but there's more. It's more versatile. You can have it can be like you're going to a concert.
I think they'll continue to merge, and I think
they'll
merge with other things like fashion, like music, and I think it will just help each other. I don't think necessarily they'll stay as separate as they've been, or as
it'd be nice to see them in one event. You've got a tennis match going on, paddle going on with pickleball. Like they did that with the Australian Open. Like you had seen. But no, that's
nice one. Thanks, Emmanuel. That was quality. Good to chat through Casa de Padel. Good to chat through the journey, and we'll have to get you back on next time when Casa de Padel has hit the year anniversary.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, my fees will increase. I enjoyed it.
We'll have to pay you to come on the podcast next time. So.
No. Lifetime membership, man. It's all the family. It's all right.
Amazing. Well, thanks a lot.